Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Open Crime Market Commentary for the week of August 26th. My name is Toby Gennaro from Trade with Precision, and we'll just take a look here at what's on tap for the markets this week. Let's take a look at the S&P 500, looking at the ES futures contracts here. Nothing really new here on the monthly chart, but moving over to the weekly chart is where the action's happening. And we're waiting for this nice pullback. We thought we were going to get that on the daily chart, but quite frankly, we really haven't seen a lot of pullbacks much at all that happened on the daily chart within that buy zone, the 10-20 period moving average. Most of the pullbacks have been on the weekly chart, and so that kind of gives us our clue when we're looking for these trend flow setup opportunities. We're looking for these pullbacks, such as these nice bullish candles right in the middle of the buy zone, bullish candle like right there. Once we get a break at the high, we just haven't had a lot of pullback on those candles at all. The market really tends to get overextended right after the break of that high. So we've got this candle that closed out last week, very nice and bullish, right dead in the middle of the buy zone. We just got a break of the high here at the early part of the week, and so it looks like we're going to be moving potentially back up to the most recent high. So things are looking pretty bullish here again on the S&P 500. If you're paying attention to some of the news, a lot of sell-offs are occurring around some of the Fed announcements talking about all the tapering of bond buying and those kinds of things. So more than likely, there's probably going to be some sell-off in the markets when that all gets worked out. But for right now, things are looking pretty bullish. As we can see from we talked last week, we had from the swing low on the daily chart to the most recent swing high. We calculated the Fibonacci retracement right at that 50% pullback, which is right around that 1630 level. We also had some support and congestion in terms of recent price action there, and you saw the market just bounce right off of that, and that was right pretty much after the Fed announcement. We got that move there, and then we've been on an uptrend, or at least on a pretty good bounce right after that. So we're moving right back up into this 1670 level, so right around 1670, 1676. They start to run into some congestion here, so we could get a pullback here, but on the as you can see on the weekly chart, once we get a break of the high of these candles right here, the market really takes off. The last time it went off on almost a 4 or 5 week run. This one right here went on a several week run. So these moves can be pretty powerful coming off of these small candles. A really nice small candle there, and that could really potentially give us a runner here. So just in looking at some of the levels there, that 1670, 1675, keep an eye out for that. If there's going to be a pullback, that's probably where it would occur. But then we'd be looking for, potentially any small retracements there. And a lot of times we have been getting, sideways consolidations and then continuations to move higher. And looking at the 480 chart, nothing really new that's telling us. We can just see that 1670 and some of the levels there right around even that 1676 level right there. And that's also coupled together with basically a 50% retracement of this entire move down, along with a 62% retracement right up around that 1676 level. So a lot of times you'll see some selling, sell orders come in at that level. But for the most part, we're looking for the market to move higher here. We have a pretty good setup there on the weekly chart, and just looking at the everything from basically the daily on down, you'll see these moving averages start to get into alignment from basically the 120 all the way down. You'll see these moving averages in alignment, and then those trend flow trades setting up on all these small pullbacks. So things are pretty bullish here on the ES futures contracts and the overall equities markets in general. Moving over from large caps then, taking a look at the small caps here on the Russell contract. Again, looking at the weekly chart here. Just a beautiful setup candle right there on the trend flow trade strategy setup. You can see some of these nice candles that were broken in the past here, very similar to the ES that we're looking at, and then the nice runs that we're getting off of these pullback structures and these moves. So we just got a break of the high again of this nice setup candle for last week. So things are looking very bullish again on the small caps. As you remember from last week, we had a retracement level drawn in between the most recent swing low to the swing high. That put us into the 50% retracement right at that 1,000 level, which looked very promising. Market didn't pull back that far, came back right around to around 1,007, 1,008 off of that Fed announcement news, and then all of a sudden we just got just a very nice bounce off of that. and we're moving higher. We've got a move. That 1035 level looked to be a solid level of support. But in these strong uptrends, a lot of times you'll just the market will just blow right through that and just go right back up to the most recent high. And it looks like we've just gotten a break of that 1035 level, and we're continuing to move above that, and it looks like that's going to continue. So moving down to the 480 chart, you can see that 1035, 1036 level a little bit better. We had a number of touches along there, so it was a pretty solid level. But we broke through that pretty handily. Had some very small minor pullbacks there. Within the last several hours, or at least the last day or two. But we're moving above that, and it looks like we're going to be moving back up to the highs there, which is right around that 1061, 1062 level. So things looking pretty bullish here again on even the small caps, and even on the NASDAQ. Things aren't looking quite as bullish, but we did have a nice 62% retracement on the NASDAQ index, and that index continues to rocket higher as well. So things looking pretty bullish here across all the major indices here in the U.S. And then finally, just looking at the pairing on the Euro USD here. We covered this last week as well, but had a nice trade setup there on the daily chart last week. And again, we're getting a nice another setup here on the daily chart this week. As you can see, breaking the high of the most recent candle there on the monthly chart, and then on the weekly chart, you can see we have a series of nice candles here over the last couple of months. Got a nice rejection candle there, and the moving averages getting into alignment. Once again, the 50, the 20, the 10 continuing to push higher. We've got a level up here right around that 137 level. We were talking about last week. If we can break through this 134 level, more than likely we might have a clear run up to 137. So looking right now, we got a nice bullish setup candle there. Just toward the end of last week, got a break of the high of that. And now we're kind of hovering right around that break level, right around that 133.7. And then as we move down to the 480 chart, you can see the nice structure here of higher highs, higher lows, and again, just you have basically the moving average just kind of catching up to the price, and this little bit of consolidation looking to potentially push higher. One thing you want to watch out for here is right at this 134 level. Could start to see some divergence here on some of the lower time frames like the 240, and possibly I don't think it's going to happen on the 120, but you might have some divergence here on the 240, possibly the 480. But just by looking at the strength of the move here on the daily and the weekly chart, looks like that 137 might be in the cards for the Euro USD here. So things looking really good, really bullish on the Euro dollar, and stay in tune with that one for the coming week to see what's going to happen there. So there's the outlook for the week. I'd like to thank you all for watching the Opening Cry Market Commentary for the week of August 26th, and we look forward to speaking to you next week on the Market Update.